Hello YouTube. This video is about the missing taillight on the back of our 1949 Chevrolet Gasser. What I have is pieces from eBay. I've got one that's got a lens in it. The wires are all frayed at the back and it's missing a screw. I've got another one that's missing a lens, is missing a screw, and also has frayed wires at the back. And I have the seals that go between the light and the body. So the first thing we're going to do is take them apart. We'll take the screws out of this one, and between the two of them we'll have enough screws. And that bulb doesn't come out, but this lens is good. We have a nut on the back here. We'll have to find another nut. Now we have to get these bulbs out. Neither one of them will come out. So we'll spray them up with some penetrating oil. And let them sit for a little bit. What's interesting about these light sockets is they have a clear lens that's inside the trunk. So there's a left and a right, and the clear lens faces into the trunk, so when you have your lights on, you have lights in the trunk also. We have movement here, up and down. It won't turn yet. We'll let them sit for a little bit. It's been a little while. Let's see if we can get these bulbs out. There's one. Oh, that one came out easy. There's two. Now we can clean up the sockets. Let's cut the wires off because they're all frayed anyway. They're not going to do us any good. And now to get the inside out, if we tilt the panel on the inside, we can get the socket out. There's one of the wires. There's another one. A third one. Oh, we got it. There's the two springs. And there's the base plate. Now let's see if we can get it out of this one. There we go. There's the base plate and the two springs out of that one. And clean up the inside a little bit. Get some of this penetrating oil off. The inside of this one is in pretty nice shape. It's not much rust. Inside of this one is all rusted up. But the lens in this one is much clearer than the lens in this one. We'll take a hone and clean out the inside of the socket. Ah, much better. Now we'll spend some time sanding to get rid of some of this rust. This one light socket is in better condition than the other. If you look, this one is kind of full of rust, and this one is not so much full of rust. But the lens in this one is not as good as the lens in this one. I'm afraid to take these lenses out with it because I'll break them. So we're just going to have to see how they come out. We'll continue to sand here. After spending some time with the sandpaper, they don't look too bad. I think they're presentable enough to paint. So now we're going to tape them off so that we can paint them. We don't want any paint on the inside of the light sockets, so we'll tape them off. And we want to keep the paint off of the threads of the studs, so we'll tape those off. We want to keep the paint off of the lens. And what we'll do is we'll take this tape and put it on the inside because it's cut to shape. And we'll do the same thing with this one. We'll take the tape off the outside and put it on the inside because it's cut to shape. And now probably the most difficult thing is we'll tape off the socket on the inside. This is not easy with somebody that has big fingers. Okay, I think we're pretty well taped off. Now we're ready for paint. So here we go with some chrome paint. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We'll let them dry. Let's clean up the lens a little bit. We'll use a little glass cleaner and a soft rag so as not to scratch it. This lens is in pretty good shape. It's a little dirty. There we go, looking good. While we got the rag out, we'll clean up these base plates. Okay, we'll do the same thing for the springs. The little mothers to clean up the chrome. That one's looking pretty nice. That one's got some chips in it. It's still pretty nice. This is the tail light that was in the car, and I took it out so that I can get the wiring the same. Now what we need to do is pull the guts out of these pigtails. All we need is the wires. So there we go, we got two sets of wires. Now these wires are a little different from the wires that we took out of the original lamps. They have a conductor that goes down the wire a little bit, and if we were to put that in with the spring, we would get a short. So what we need to do is put some heat shrink around it so that we don't get that short. So I cut a little bit of heat shrink, slide it onto the wire, and up to the connector, and heat shrink that. So that we don't get a short. You got to do that to all the wires. We're going to have to enlarge the holes in the base plate a little bit so the heat shrink will go through. There we go. Now we got the base plates wired. Now we just have to put them in the lights. Here's our light sockets. We got to strip the tape off of it. So if you remember, the one with a good clean lens was the one that was all rusted up, and it looks pretty good. The one with the not so clear lens was the one with a good bucket, and they look pretty much the same now. And slide the springs onto the wires. Like so. Then we got to feed the wires through the base of the light. Blue goes to the left, and red goes to the right. And the reason we're doing that is so that we get the brake light and the park light hooked up to the right wire. Now, there's a little tab on each side of the base, and those tabs go into this slot right here. And the way you get them in is you tilt the base one way by pulling the wire down and pushing with a screwdriver so that the base is crooked. And you get it down till so the tab on one side is in the slot, and then you can pull the other side down with the wire so that you have the tab in the slot on both sides, and there should be give to the base so when the bulb goes in it makes contact with the contacts inside the light. Now we have to choose the best one, and I'm going to take the one with a clear lens even though it was more rusted. So we'll set this one aside and use the parts to put this one together. What I have is an LED light, and we'll put that into the socket and turn it so it's locked in. Take the lens and put it in place. And it fits nicely, and this one is the better chrome, so we'll put that on top and screw it together. Looks better than the one I took off the car. I'm going to have to clean this one up now. I've got some 1024 nuts that screw onto these studs, so we'll replace the missing nuts that we're missing. Now what we have to do is put the jack onto the tail light that's going to go on the car. These are Deutsch connectors, and I'll put a link above how to assemble them. But real quickly, we just cut these things off even. Strip the end. Need a little bit more than that. There we go. Slide a pin onto the end. Take a crimper and crimp it on. Do the same thing with the other side. Now we got to get the wires on the same side. So If we turn this thing like this, blue goes on this side, you slide it in until it clicks, and red goes on this side, and slide it in until it clicks. And then we put the lock in, slide the lock in until it clicks in place, like so. Now we're ready to put it in the car. We'll put the gasket on, stick it in its hole, put a nut on it, put a second nut on it, tighten it down, turn the car on, and it works. I think we accomplished what we set out to do. If you enjoyed this video, there'll be more.